are doing CELPIP for the first time, this video is going to be very important for you because a lot of people get surprised when they do the exam. They don't realize that it's not like a normal English exam, and the environment, the scoring criteria, the material, everything that you prepared for thinking it's going to be like that is actually very different, which is why most people fail CELPIP in their first try. But you don't have to if you know these important things before your exam to prepare you well. The first thing is the sample papers. Now, when you're preparing, a normal thing to do is to go online, type CELPIP online sample tests. The free ones are the ones people mostly attempt, and they are way easier than the actual exam. I've had emails from people who have said that in the practice tests, we were scoring 12, but in the actual exam, we scored a 7. That's how big the difference can be. The actual exam is way harder, the marking criteria is way more difficult, and you will find yourself missing the time. The time will be running fast, and you would be struggling with the questions, which are going to be extremely difficult. So if you are scoring 7 in the practice tests, in the actual exam, think that you will score 2 points lesser, so a 5. Okay, so you need to be scoring really well on the practice tests, or buy practice tests from our website on our course. In our 15-hour course, we have really difficult practice tests, so they're going to prepare you well for the actual exam. Link for our course is in the description. The second thing is, what is an intermediate level? You know, intermediate is a good word, right? It's like not basic and not advanced. So it's probably going to be 8. No, it's 6. In CELPIP, intermediate level is 6. Why this is important is because a lot of people need a 7 to pass this exam, and 7 means better than average, better than intermediate. So you got to be upper intermediate to reach a score of 7. And if you need 8 or 9, you need to be almost perfect. So you might be thinking the score 12 is perfection. It's really not. It's 9. People with almost no mistakes score a 9. To get to 10, 11, or 12, you need to have no mistakes and superb vocabulary, complex sentences, and we'll get to all of those later. But basically, no mistakes means a 9 or 10, and that means it's just superbly, extremely talented level, similar to a PhD writer, and that's a level 9. So if you are scoring in the practice tests online 9, then in the actual exam, you can score a 7. That means you're upper intermediate. But if you're scoring 8 in the practice tests, in the actual exam, assume you're going to score a 6. So 6 would be the level you will judge yourself at, and that would make you intermediate. All right, so judge yourself according to this level. Let's talk about reading and listening. They are easier than writing and speaking. Okay, so again, in the practice tests, if you're scoring better, let's not put a number. Let's say you're scoring better in reading and listening. Whatever you scored there, just subtract 1 point for writing and 2 points for speaking, because speaking is the hardest part. So if you're scoring 10 in reading and listening, you're going to score most likely 9 in writing and 8 in speaking. That's the difficulty level. Speaking is the hardest, then it's writing, and reading and listening are much easier in terms of marking. Okay, speaking distractions. So if you are doing this exam for the first time, or you're coming from IELTS to CELPIP, one problem that people face when they are doing the exam on the exam day is when you're speaking, you're surrounded by other people who are speaking at the same time. This can be very distracting. You do not get noise cancellation headphones, not yet, unfortunately. So you gotta practice at home speaking with distractions. A really good technique I use is to play news in the background and speak. This will help you practice speaking with distractions, because in the exam you will be highly distracted by what others are saying and you have to tune them out. So be prepared for that, because this will happen. Fancy words are important. So on this channel we have lots of videos on the fancy vocabulary you got to use for CELPIP. That's why I started this video by saying it's not just an English test. You cannot go in expecting that I'm going to write a sentence without mistakes and that's going to give me a mark of 12. For example, you cannot say that in a letter, for example, I hope you have a good day. This is a very basic sentence. Good is basic. I hope is basic. If you look at our templates, we have fancier wordings. Hopefully you and your family are doing well, and there's a combination of semicolons, comma, exclamation mark. Instead of good, we use words like superb, magnificent, brilliant. advanced words. We also use adverbs to help us out. For example, extremely beneficial instead of good. I'm going to try to use extremely, greatly, quickly, the least, wherever I can. So vocab cannot be just day-to-day words. Now to check out these templates, you can again go to our YouTube videos, HZad Education templates. They're the most viewed videos on my channel, and you will see the words that are required and should be used for your exam. An advanced version of these templates is available in my 15-hour course. Once again, the link for that is in the description. Now, a score of 9 is not easy. So a lot of people who, speak English in day-to-day life, normal English, right? Think that they speak English. 9 should be easy. Let me book the exam 2 weeks from now. It's very difficult to get a 9. As I said, 9 is almost perfection. You cannot make any mistakes. Most likely you will make some mistakes. And on top of that, you need fancier vocabulary, phrases, sentences. So it's a very high level in terms of the CELPIP mark. 9 is almost similar to a PhD English level. Not kidding, I'm not exaggerating. You need to be extremely advanced in all areas of English: vocabulary, punctuation, and when we talk about speaking, we're talking about tone and emphasis, phrases, and all those things. So do not expect that 9 is easy. Make sure you have ample preparation, either online with our videos or with our paid material. You can get ample preparation. Okay, ideal practice time, now that we're talking about preparation, is 4 to 5 weeks. So once again, if you have booked the exam 2 weeks from now, you're probably underestimating the exam. Most people who do 4 to 5 weeks of practice do much better than people who book lesser. Okay, it's all MCQs. Reading and listening are all multiple choice questions, which is a good news for a lot of people. You don't have to find exact words to fill in the gaps or anything. It's multiple choice, so if you are running short on time, you can also make educated guesses. It could also be a problem because now you get 4 options per question and you gotta disprove 3 of them to prove 1 right. So take it as you will. Some people like it, some don't, but it's all multiple choice questions. Reading in CELPIP needs to be understood. What I mean by this is in IELTS, if you have been doing IELTS and you're coming from IELTS to CELPIP, in IELTS what you do is you look at keywords, right? You look at a keyword in a question, you go in the paragraph, find that passage, and match the answer. It's easy. In CELPIP, it's not like that. CELPIP reading needs to be understood. You gotta read the paragraphs, not at the same time. You still read the question, then you go to the paragraph. That part, just read that part. But you have to understand it. You have to understand the whole sentence or the entire paragraph. Because there are questions here about how does this person feel? What is the expression of this person? Would you think that person X is opposing or supporting person Y? So if you don't know the theory or what the discussion is or how the feeling is or how to interpret the message or the title of the passage, you wouldn't be able to answer the right question, which is why this forces you to read the whole thing and understand it. You cannot just read 1 or 2 sentences, look at the keywords and get the answers, okay? So reading is actual reading here. You have to read the whole thing eventually while you're answering questions. It's not like IELTS where you can ignore a bunch of stuff. When we talk about speaking, speaking is different than IELTS because in IELTS you're asked questions like, what is your favorite color, or what do you think about world peace, etc. It's things about you. It's all about your life, right? So it's like an interview. But in CELPIP, a lot of it requires acting. So you need to be a good actor in CELPIP because there are questions where you would need to talk to a person, imaginary person. Talk to your friend about weight loss. Talk to your boss about taking a day off, or basically it's a debate. They don't say that, but it's speaking number 7, question number 7, where you have to debate and talk about your opinion on an argumentative question and give 3 reasons why you support it. So that's where you have to be a little bit more passionate. So you have to use good tone and emphasis and do a little bit of acting, a little bit of role playing with yourself, assuming that you're talking to this person. You are debating in question number 7. You're convincing a person in question number 5, etc. So you gotta use a little bit of your, again, there's no better word, acting skills in speaking. It's not like an interview like IELTS. When we talk about listening, in listening, you gotta not only listen, but you gotta take notes. they should really call it listening and note taking because it's not really a listening test, it's also a note taking test. So if you have been doing IELTS, again, you're coming to CELPIP, this is very different because in IELTS you have the questions in front of you, you answer while you listen. In CELPIP, you don't have the questions in front of you, you have a piece of paper. You take notes while you listen, and you use these notes to answer the questions later when the audio is done. If you don't take enough notes, you will not be able to answer the questions correctly. So note taking itself is a major skill. You got to be fast at that. You got to listen and take notes, which requires multitasking. So that is in itself a big challenge in listening. So make sure you're good and fast in taking notes on a piece of paper with a pen. No typing is allowed there. It's basically pen and paper, the old-fashioned way. When we talk about writing, it's similar to IELTS. There's task 1, task 2, about 150 to 200 words, so not a big difference. Last thing I'm going to say is complex sentences are needed, and this brings us back to the same theme of what I've been saying to you guys if you're doing this for the first time. It's not just going to be simple sentences that you use in the exam. Don't think it's just good English that will help you make your way through a 9 or 10. You do need complex sentences. Now, if you want to know what complex sentences are, we have our videos on complex sentences. Just type here HZad Education complex sentences. You're going to see tons of those. And to give you a summary, these are sentences that break a sentence or an idea into 2 parts. For example, I want to say that I love to eat apples, but I can't because my doctor said it's too much sugar. So I'm going to use although at the start of the sentence and break it into 2 parts instead of making 2 sentences. So I'm going to say, although I love eating apples, comma, my doctor told me not to since they have sugar. So by using although, I have broken the sentence into 2 parts, which makes it complex. I could use other words like based on, considering, while, whereas at the start of sentences, that will break the sentence into 2 parts, making them complex. With a combination of good complex sentences and simple sentences, I'm going to be able to get a good mark in writing and speaking. I cannot just use simple sentences. And on that note, I cannot just use complex sentences. I need to use a combination of those. So once again, this is important to know, right? Because we think it's an English exam. Just go in there and write the correct thing, grammar mistakes free. But it's not just that. It's grammar mistakes free plus really fancy, sometimes unnecessary complex words and phrases just to show that you're able to use a range and unique wordings and low frequency words and expressions. So that's that, guys. If you are preparing for CELPIP for the first time, make sure to watch more of my videos because this video will give you a great direction, but it's really not enough because my job in this video is to make sure that you're scared of your first attempt, and it's for your own good because a lot of people take it easy. When they get their mark, they're surprised. This is going to be a challenging exam. However, if approached with the right preparation and work, you're going to be able to be successful and get your immigration dreams, get your educational dreams with this exam. I hope this helped, and if it did, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment for any questions. Talk to you very soon. Take care.